Anyway, let me fucking blast off. There's a lot going on that we need to talk about. With 28 days till election, both campaigns are doing a media blitz, and it's utter ass. Hogwatch Hurricane Edition. People think FEMA is saving migrants only, and many other weather conspiracy. Also, I will do more fun shit later. Get in now. I need to preserve my fucking sanity, dude. I've been like, normally after taking a day off, I wouldn't be this quick and have this much of a hair trigger. Okay. Normally I wouldn't have this much of a hair trigger this close to like taking a day off. It's a good reset usually for me. And I have not, like, everything that's happening has just been breaking my goddamn brain, Dude, you took one day off. You're acting like you took a 2-week vacation. Yeah, I mean, but normally in the past, when I took one day off, it was a good reset. Okay. It was a complete and total reset for me, usually. But we're not there yet. Did you hear about the porn sites Project 2025 counter campaign? Hope you can rest soon. What the fuck does that mean? All right, do we have a blast off meme? Getting old, Unk? No, dude, Unk. It's not that Unk is getting old. It's that Unk is losing his fucking mind because everything sucks. And Unk is doing fucking 8 to 10 hours of news coverage every goddamn day. And I need to do other shit instead. Like, usually I have a decent cycle. Usually I have a decent cycle with, news, and then not so serious commentary, fun reacts, playing video games, things like that. That's what it is. Like, I got to keep it to I have to keep it to, bro, do we have a blast off meme? If you guys send me your fan art instead of a blast off meme again, I'm going to lose my mind. Okay. You're sending funny tweets that you've seen. That's not a blast off meme. Okay. Bringing back this classic. Thank you, Lil Bear. I'm going to use that. More debate lords type content? No, dude. The underpinning, like the undertaking of a project that difficult is not as simple. I mean, like, I need to do more cultural commentary, shit like that. I'm just doing straight news coverage nonstop. I need to dial it back a little bit and do some more news and things that are lighter in general. New visits, collabs. Yeah, exactly. It's like also kind of difficult because everyone is so primed, and nonstop will come in here and just like blast me with like, dude, you got to talk about this. 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 And they just don't stop. They're like endlessly fucking. And it's already the Israeli genocide is already my fucking hyperfixation. So I'm so locked in on it. Okay. That like whenever other autistic chatters like myself come in and express their autism towards the Israeli genocide of Palestinians, we just go down this fucking endless cycle of despair. Okay. I think that's good. Constant Palestine coverage or death. Ask E for Palestine. Yeah, dude, it's not like I'm going to stop covering it. Okay. It's just that there's other things that are happening as well. And I need to like change the dynamic and not do 8 fucking hours every day, breaking my brain a little bit. And it's not just Gaza related issues either. It's also just politics in general. Like, I'm just doing nonstop, relentless political coverage. It's like fucking breaking me a little bit. Okay. Where was I? Okay, chatters, don't fucking send me shit to be like, this will help your stress levels or whatever. It's not. It's not gonna help. Okay, I promise you. All right. So, we're gonna talk about the hurricane. We got 28 days until the election. We're gonna talk about the conspiracies today. Woodward has another book coming out. Biden on Netanyahu, that son of a bitch, Bibi Netanyahu. He's a bad guy. He's a bad fucking guy. Biden on Putin. That fucking Putin. Putin is evil. We're dealing with the epitome of evil. Not that it matters. Biden is a bitch. You already know that. He's getting dog walked by Benjamin. Interesting stuff in terms of media coverage, shifting a little bit. Israel's genocide has gotten so out of control that even motherfucking CNN is like, hey, dude, maybe you shouldn't be mercilessly executing Palestinians in northern Gaza that you are causing to evacuate and flee once again. Like, that's pretty fucked up. Can you not do that? Okay, here it is. Palestinians evacuating northern Gaza say they're being shot at by the Israeli military. Israel, of course, won speed on this front. Will this get to a CNN primetime was a question? Maybe. But before we get to this, okay, dude, here, I'm going to watch the Matthew Miller gets called out for his bullshit, because if I don't, people will die in the chat, okay? This is the most sent to me. This is the video that you guys want me to cover so fucking bad. If I don't cover this video right now in this very moment, people are going to die, okay? So here it is. Matt Miller, Count Dracula himself, getting fucking yelled at by journalists.
To strike Iran, and in July, Blinken said that Iran was 1 to 2 weeks away from developing a nuclear weapon. So I guess for all we know, they might have one by now. And meanwhile, in Ukraine, they've struck deep within Russian territory several times, as deep as 300 miles from the border. And in that case, we don't have to guess. We know that Russia has the largest nuclear arsenal on the planet, as many as 6,000 warheads. And so one of the risks of arming militaries that are striking in the territories of nuclear powers is that one of those gets deployed, and then it could escalate very quickly from there. So it's rarely discussed, but it's important to address that the nuclear risk is real, and it could very abruptly mean the end of, what humans have worked for thousands of years to collectively achieve. And us today are very lucky to live with the fruits of that achievement, and I feel like we're treating the risks kind of brazenly. So my question for you is, we often hear in response to these concerns that, well, Putin, Khomeini, they're war criminals, they're terrorists, as if they're too inherently evil or immoral for us to negotiate with. But meanwhile, this administration has financed a genocide in Gaza for the last year, and every day you're up there denying accountability for it. So, I mean, what gives you the right to lecture other countries on their moral?
So if you have a policy question for me, I'm happy to take it. If you want to give a speech, there are plenty of places in Washington where you can give a speech.
Yeah, but people are sick of the bullshit in here. I mean, it is a genocide.
You are abetting it,
and you are risking nuclear war in Ukraine
plenty
for this.
Places to give a speech. Go ahead.
Thank you, Matt. Reporter Liam Cosgrove at the State Department confronts Matt Miller for Gray Zone. Says the genocide, people are sick of the bullshit in here. He cooked them. Doesn't matter. He's a fucking demon. Nothing is going to change. Okay? Sorry. That's just the truth. He's going to keep doing his shit. All right. Let's get to Hurricane Milton. We didn't even get to personally cover Hurricane Helene and its devastation. This is some reporting from on the ground 16 hours ago from Jonathan Petramala, okay, about some of the issues and some of the unique Floridian ways of trying to deal with the hurricane. But before we get to that, Hurricane Milton, as I covered last night, is one of the very, very unique hurricanes in terms of its direction and in terms of how quickly it reached Category 5 over the course of 24 hours. It is shocking meteorologists, causing them to basically cry on television, on live TV. Like it's going to make impact sometime around, I guess like 3 p.m. tomorrow, my time, or no, Florida time potentially. I'm not entirely sure. It's going to make impact though, and I assume that the tropical storm surrounding it is already bracing. Is already slated to make landfall. Good morning. Here's your Hurricane Milton update. As of 1 p.m. CDT, Hurricane Milton is a Category 4 hurricane with wind speeds of 155 miles per hour and a minimum pressure of 923 millibars. This is a decrease from his peak last night at 180 miles per hour and 897 millibars. My friend in Tampa Bay's boss signed him up to work storm shelters without telling him, except to say he will be fired if he doesn't do it. 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. Oh, Wednesday night at like 8 p.m. EST. Okay. So yeah, the evacuation zones or the avoid zones is basically like a fucking dick sleeve over Florida. Okay. It's just the path is going in from Tampa, coming out of fucking Orlando. Normally, you don't have hurricanes that take this trajectory, this path. It's unique for a hurricane to actually take this path coming from like a eastbound hurricane that is coming from the southwest. It's usually coming from the opposite side. Apparently, since 1851, only 14 hurricanes have taken this path. What now, liberals, is what I say. Obviously, because these unimaginable, once in a lifetime, world changing, catastrophic natural disasters seemingly happen with incredible frequency, you either got to look at it and think to yourself, I wonder what the deal is here. Is it perhaps anthropogenic climate change, warming the fucking waters, making hurricanes more powerful, making it also making hurricanes more powerful in a shorter period of time, making it much harder to predict the trajectory and the impact, making it much more difficult to actually evacuate, especially when these biblical style fucking hurricanes are making landfall with incredible frequency. I wonder if it's anthropogenic climate change, something that scientists have had a consensus on for quite a while, or some other thing that they're hiding from us, like Jewish, Chinese, Mexican, undocumented space laser weather machines that are causing this to happen. It's probably the second thing, is what I believe. Yeah, it's government weather control. Today, Milton is expected to bring hurricane force winds and a life-threatening storm surge along portions of the northern coast of Yucatan Peninsula. I would like to specify that despite the fact that the Yucatan is not in the direct path of the storm, Milton is still likely to bring extreme levels of rainfall, and the northern coast is still under a hurricane or tropical storm warning. Video of Milton fighting off the Yucatan. Here it is. Last night in Cancun with that vigorous convection weather, Hurricane Milton. God damn, that lightning killed the guy. That's insane, dude. Benchmark for rapid intensification is 35 miles gained in 24 hours. Milton gained 95 miles in 24 hours. 95 miles. What the fuck? That's my goat, Reed. Milton went through an eyewall replacement cycle last night, which is part of why it weakened slightly. An eyewall replacement cycle is when a new eyewall begins to form on the outside of the previous one. This cuts off the energy the inner eyewall needs, causing it to collapse and the storm to weaken. Eventually, the outer eyewall completely replaces the inner one, and the storm may re-intensify. This is likely to happen with Milton. Made the 16-hour drive last night with my roommate to evacuate from Tampa Bay area. Fairly confident we will lose everything in this. Probably going to try and get a new job in Yosemite again because of the initial startup cost being so cheap. Reed Timmer is on his way down to Florida because he's literally insane. I assume he will be live streaming the storm. That's my goat. That's my goat, Reed. When you look at the videos of like people going in one direction and there's massive fucking gridlock traffic, okay, of people trying to leave Tampa, and then you see the one car on the other side in that directly going into Tampa, that's Reed. That's our boy Reed, okay? Friend of the show, Reed Timmer, PhD. It's him and a bunch of bucket boys, okay? Ready to go. Put those telephone and electricity poles back up immediately. Maybe some bucket bunnies too. Yeah, you got the linemen on their way, okay? You got maybe a couple bucket bunnies also driving alongside them. I would go so far as to say bucket bunnies, I think, are also essential workers alongside the linemen. People think it's just Reed Timmer and the linemen that are driving in the fucking pathway of the hurricane to go do some honest work, okay? But ain't nobody's talking about the bucket bunnies that are also going down there, okay? They got to keep the morale up. Ain't nobody's talking about them. Do you understand? It's fucked up. What the fuck is a bucket bunny? A bucket bunny is a woman that is sexually attracted to the linemen that come into the area. He's about to be misogynist. Line person, my bad, liberals. Linemen oftentimes and truckers oftentimes go to the area of impact with, life-saving supplies, and linemen specifically put back the and restore electricity and communication to the areas that need it. Bucket bunnies are the people that have sex with them. They're like the lot lizards, providing an essential service for people who are in these areas hit by catastrophic storms and the like. And honestly, it's a thankless job, but you know, it is a very important part of the process and a very important part of the local economy. All right, let's get to the mainstream coverage of this matter, and then we'll fuck around a little bit more.
Good morning, Michael. We are less than 48 hours from a second major landfalling hurricane on the Gulf Coast of Florida. I'm in downtown Tampa. This is the convention center. You can see that water. It looks 10 to 12 feet down that seawall. Well, in lesser storms, we have seen all of this flood. So that's why all the people that live here are preparing for the approach of what made it to one of the strongest hurricanes on record in the Atlantic Basin.
This morning, the race to get out before explosively powerful Hurricane Milton comes in. Milton, still more than 5.
See, look, you're wondering, okay? People leaving Tampa, bucket bunnies and the linemen going into Tampa alongside the storm chasers. Okay? A lot of people don't understand. A lot of people do not understand what's going on here. They're like, what? Why are people driving into Tampa? There's a lot of work to be had in Tampa.
Comes in. Milton, still more than 500 miles southwest of Tampa, now a Category 4 hurricane with winds of 155 miles per hour.
This is the storm of the century.
Mass evacuations ordered, prompting bumper-to-bumper traffic on highways out of town.
I saw that fucking video of I think it was like the sheriff's department or whatever, like with their car driving through these like quiet suburbs that have been emptied out, basically being like, leave this area. This is an evacuation zone. Shit is dystopian, dog. Oh, Jesus Christ. Time lapse flying by Hurricane Milton about 2 hours ago. Holy moly. Look at that. God damn, dude. They're doing phone alerts every 10 minutes. Prime time for some high crime. Oh my God. Don't even start.
All right. So.
Oh, yeah, this is the aqua fence, which probably is not going to be enough to protect the Tampa General Hospital, by the way. I'm just letting you know. The aqua fence is actually really cool. It's really cool technology. It's wild. Like, it uses the weight of the water to basically keep it stable, I think. Some science shit. I've seen this before. The problem is they're talking about storm surge over 15 feet, and I don't know if this is 15 feet. I don't think this is 15 feet. So it's about 3 feet too short for the predicted surge. Yeah, we'll get to all of that. God damn it, I can't even fucking finish this news coverage on it. Holy shit.
The strongest hurricane in the Gulf of Mexico in nearly 2 decades takes aim at the Sunshine State.
Thousands, hundreds of thousands of cars.
Rianne Ramirez and her family of 4 driving 8 hours to leave Florida, double the time it would normally take.
It is bumper to bumper to the point where we were standstill, not moving for an hour at a time.
Hurricane hunters flying into the storm to collect critical data. Milton is expected to be knocked down by some wind shear before making landfall late Wednesday into early Thursday, but the storm surge could still be unprecedented.
I think there's something wild about people being like, oh man, I'm really afraid of the looting. That's why I can't leave my house. It's like, listen, Deborah, ain't nobody trying to break into your fucking trailer park. It's gone. Like this is one of those moments where it's like, dude, be real, be for fucking real. I understand how hard it is. I understand how hard it is to specifically fucking, leave everything behind, especially if you got pets. Like, but if looting is your primary concern here, you're out of your goddamn mind, okay? What looting? That shit is all underwater at that point. Like,
Tampa Bay to Sarasota to Venice could see 10 to 15 feet of ocean water pushing onto land, prompting one of the largest evacuations in years.
I'm going to go door to door myself and make the plea over the next 24 hours to get as many people as possible to leave.
There are definitely looters, but nowhere near enough to affect everyone to worry about it. Dude, what are you talking about? Looters? Like, guys, please understand something, okay? 15 feet storm surge. What looters, bro? If someone steals your fucking shit before it's underwater, then, you know, at least someone's making good use of it. Like, what are you talking about? You know what's going to loot everything? The water, okay? The water is going to loot everything. Here's what it will also loot. Your fucking life. If you stay home and you're in the area of impact, you know, you got to be, you're worrying about the wrong looting at that point, okay?
But those staying put are prepping for the worst, frantically filling sandbags, boarding up homes, stocking up.
Like, this is such like American fantasy, right? If you think you're going to go in and loot, you got another thing coming. It's like, what are you going to do? Shoot people? Like, what is happening? Like, I don't think people understand the primary consideration at this moment should be placed on survival, okay? The goal for every single person in the area of impact should be to try and survive. Unless you got some fucking gills on you, all right? And webbed fingies that you can make ease of, like, you know, you can just like swim around in that filth. You're cooked, okay?
This is not going to be an opportunity for folks to take advantage of people. If you think you're going to go in and loot, you got another.
Dude, Americans are so crazy, man. Americans are so fucking nutty. God, this country is so broken, dude. We are such a broken country that, like, even in the midst of this, like, Ron DeSantis is like, oh yeah, I'm going to use my federal resources on fucking killing people. Like, what are you saying? What are you saying? Like, this is not even remotely a priority, okay? It's crazy. It's crazy. Everything's got to be culture war shit, okay? Everything's got to be political, dude. Everything.
Another thing coming. You go into somebody's house after the storm passes, think that you're going to be able to commit crimes. You're going to get in really serious trouble. And quite frankly, you don't know what's behind that door in a Second Amendment state. So do not try to take advantage of people who are suffering because of the results of this storm. That goes for Helene continually, but then of course that will be the case for Milton. I know we've already brought a lot of people, held people accountable in post-Helene, and we will be very swift across all of.
If you try to steal my cryptocurrency, you got another thing coming for you.
Levels of government to throw the book at people, and of course, when you make these bad decisions, you're opening yourself up to response from property owners who may be inside that house.
Yeah, meanwhile, this is what's going on in Apollo Beach, Florida, baby. Look at this.
The time to leave is now. This is the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office. Mandatory evacuations have been ordered for your area.
Please read out loud. As a firefighter paramedic who has lived through many hurricanes in the Houston area, another fucking area that literally is technically uninhabitable, but they decided to just fucking pour concrete over land that is supposed to soak up the water, and then decided this will be fine. And now it gets flooded regularly for no fucking reason. Not dissimilar to Florida, mind you. 9/11 will not come into if winds and flooding are high enough. There should be no one left in the area because not even the fire department will respond. We've left buildings burning during Hurricane Harvey because we just couldn't make it out. Please, if you're living in the pathway, leave. Just leave. Oh, imagine leaving those homes behind. Hasanabi, way someone go and live in Florida. What? It's just crazy to be like, I am already thinking about the looting. Okay, like, thinking about the theft that might occur when half of these fucking houses are probably going to be underwater is insane, okay? It is a genuinely insane thing to fantasize about. My partner has conservative extended family that live on an island south of Tampa and aren't leaving because they'll be fine, even though they live 10 feet off the ocean. They didn't even buy sandbags. They're fucking rich too. They have zero excuse.
It's getting real.
Yeah. Anyone makes the poor decision to stay, make sure to turn your breakers off if it starts flooding. In Helene, my fridge caught on fire after it flooded. Jesus Christ. Yeah. You got mayors. You got the mayor of Tampa being like, if you stay behind, you will die. I am going to make this very clear. Okay? If you stay behind, you will die. That's what she said on CNN. Meanwhile, these motherfuckers are like, yo, if you start looting, like, looting what, bro? The fucking hurricane's going to take care of the looters, even if you want to think about that. Like, if that is a consideration for you, guess what, dude? The looters are going to fucking die too. So you don't have to like fantasize about shooting them. Yeah, people are going to be looting. People are going to be looting the waterlogged PlayStation 5s from your suburban homes, dude.
Many shelves already empty.
I have a 1-year-old as of tomorrow, and my wife's expecting our second child, so we just want to take necessary precautions.
5,000 National Guard troops activated. Tropicana Field, where the Tampa Bay Rays play, turned into a staging area for relief workers. Helene left behind so much destruction less than 2 weeks ago.
It's just a little scary to protect your house because it's not just your house, it's all the houses have debris piled up as high as you can see.
Helene brought the Tampa area and its beaches record storm surge as high as 7 feet. This was Tampa General Hospital during Helene. It was protected by an aqua fence. The water nearly to the top of the fence in that 5 to 7 feet of surge. But that
was 5 to 7 feet. This is going to be double that.
Half the storm surge that's expected from Milton.
Watching the storm meteorologically yesterday was just jaw-dropping. It put on 95 miles per hour in less than 24 hours. Only 2 other storms in history have done that. So
I want to say it's crazy because like everyone's a communist when a fucking hurricane happens. But Florida, honestly, yeah, everyone's a big government commie when a fucking massive hurricane like this happens. And you know, it's not a time to gloat. Like, I don't give a shit. It's not about politics. We got to save these people. We got to make sure that they get the fuck out, right? Having said that, however, Florida is unironically proving the point that it's like, nah, actually, they're still going on the same fucking trajectory. It's crazy. They're like, no, even during a catastrophic hurricane that is about to make landfall, we've decided we are going to abide by our fucking principles, you know?
Watching it just past the Yucatan now, we're still, again, hundreds of miles away from this thing, but it will close in and it's going to go quickly, especially if you are on the west coast of Florida. Let's talk about that cone. So right now, the center of it goes just south of the bay.
Dude, look at this. It's just straight ripping through fucking Florida. Look at this. Like, that's crazy. I run a retro game store in Tampa and someone was like, what if they loot it? And I was like, let them take the soaked PS2s. I just don't think people understand. I just don't think people understand what this shit looks like. Like, I don't think they understand the priority here. The priority is survival, okay?
Bradenton almost, but remember, it can travel still because of the cone of uncertainty is what it's called, anywhere really from Crystal River down to Fort Myers. So we're closing in on exactly where it will make that path, and that's going to matter. But I can tell you the hurricane force gusts from Cedar Key to Orlando, where we could see power outages with 100+ mile/hour winds. Lakeland, watch out for those winds. And the storm surge again, Robin, from Fort Myers at 6 to 10 feet to here 10 to 15 feet. That's stacking 3 of me and pushing that water onshore.
Tampa chatter here. If the storm goes through south of Tampa, the storm surge would be minimal. If the storm goes north of Tampa, then 20-foot storm surge. We're talking about 10-mile shifts that will determine insane catastrophic destruction. Yes, I heard the number was potentially 2,000 casualties with like $5 billion of damage in the worst case scenario.
It will move homes. It will move cars. It is going to be catastrophic. Those words I can be very confident with. Robin?
You cannot overstate that, Ginger. Thank you.
We want to get you an...
Oh, yeah. Okay. You're good to go on break, bro? All right. Here is what the 15-foot storm surge looks like, okay?
Let's talk more about that surge that Jim was mentioning, because the National Hurricane Center is warning that destructive storm surge will occur along parts of Florida's west coast.
It's not just about when the storm is present. Families leave their homes well before the storm touching down, leaving their homes evacuated and unattended. Come on, Hassan. Dude, I'm sorry. You are so fucking insane, okay? Do you not understand what I'm saying? If you're in the fucking pathway of the storm and you evacuated your home and you left it unattended and someone stole your TV in the fucking process, guess what would have happened if someone didn't steal your TV? First of all, we're imagining that someone came into your house and stole your television, okay? Because you were more predisposed with survival. But if it didn't get stolen, you know what happens in that situation? it gets waterlogged and probably explodes anyway. What the fuck are you talking about? Like, what are you talking about? Your home is gone, dude. What do you mean? Americans' brains are so fucking broken. Like, they're, I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. Like, flooding isn't an all or nothing ordeal. Like, I'm telling you right now, you should be worried about the wrong looting. You know, the looting is going to happen. It's just going to be the water that loots your shit. I'm sure they're just winding you up. No one could be that stupid. Like, if you are directly in the fucking line of impact, it's gone. Like, this is, like, you should be worried about making assessments for the insurance later down the line, if you even have it, because Florida is already dog shit with insurance. And Floridian insurance companies, okay, Florida insurers have already in the past colluded and utilized false reporting to underpay people in the aftermath of catastrophic events such as this one. So that's another part of the process. The Air Force Base MacDill has evacuated most of their personnel and all their airplanes. The fucking U.S. Air Force is getting the fuck out of Tampa. If your house has insurance, whether it's destroyed or stolen, it's covered anyways. No, not necessarily. Insurance will fucking fight you tooth and nail to try to stop you from getting all of the money back and to be able to put your life back together. Anyway, let's watch what 15 feet of let's look at what 15 feet of storm surge actually looks like. Okay, so maybe you'll understand if you're in the impact zone, if you're gonna get this shit, your TV's gone. Okay, it's done.
Coast tomorrow, and that's where we find our surge warnings. They stretch from the Everglades to Cedar Key, but also notice the potential for surge on the east coast of Florida, including Georgia and South Carolina too. You will see surge outside the cone, but the highest.
Disney Orlando is remaining open at this point. Unreal. I think there's a good reason for that, actually. For the record, from what I understand, one, Orlando is getting hit with Category 1 because obviously once it makes impact on land, the hurricane is no longer going to be as severe by the time it reaches Orlando. And the other reason why it's open is because it has hotels. Like, I think the Disney parks are closed, but the hotels remain open, specifically so that people can escape from like Tampa and Sarasota and potentially go in the direction of like the Orlando hotels inside of Disney World. So it's not, I immediately thought it was a bad thing as well, but I don't think it's like the worst. It seems not as bad as I also previously thought, because a lot of people, yeah, they closed the parks. Obviously, they're not like get on a fucking roller coaster in the middle of a Category 1 hurricane, but it's more so about like being able to utilize these massive hotels. Like, there will be power outages, but it's probably much better to just still be in a hotel rather than being in the fucking impact zone and dying on your roof because you wanted to defend your fucking Samsung OLED television. Oh my God.
Is expected in Tampa and Sarasota. But look at that, Naples, we could get 4 to 7 feet there. Let's focus in on the Tampa Bay area where we could see a record-setting surge over 9 feet. And I can use this simulation to show you what it will actually look like in Tampa.
Don't do the weather machine.
At 3 feet above normally dry ground, water is already life-threatening. It's too late to evacuate. Water this high can knock you off your feet, make cars float, and driving impossible. The first floor of homes and businesses are flooded. Unfortunately, the water is expected to rise even higher at 6 feet above the height of most people. Vehicles get carried away, structures start to fail. Just look at this. Anything could be in this water, sharp glass, debris, chemicals as well. The scary part is some areas could see surge values at 10 to 15 feet. And this takes us up to 9. And look what it does. At this level, the first floors of structures are completely flooded, and there are few places that it is safe when the water rises this high.
Please understand, if you're in the impact zone predicted to have up to 15 feet of storm surge, you're done. It's over. No one will save you. You will die. Okay? You will fucking die on top of your roof or in your attic. Like, you are going to die. I do not know how to explain this Okay. I do not know if it will actually have 15 feet of storm surge, but obviously I'm going to trust the knowledgeable people on this matter because I can barely say meteorologist to begin with. Okay. I'm having a hard time saying the word. So I'm going to probably, I'm going to listen to them when they give these warnings. Okay. Kind of a similar situation to COVID, which is why it's blowing my mind that Republicans are now doing the same thing that they did with COVID, but now with something that is like directly visible. They've taken their anti-science perspective and now are applying it to this situation, and it's very frustrating. I don't know. It is very, very bad. This is very bad. We are getting dumber and dumber. Obviously, it makes sense that Trump is leading Kamala Harris by 30 points with non-college educated men in particular. 30 points. Just remember, 30 points. Pretty crazy stuff, but that's where we're at. What now, liberal? You're silly libtard. This is above 9 feet, but this CGI, this not real.
We want everyone to know their evacuation zone, listen to local officials, and evacuate when ordered to do so. And Jordan, you made a great point last time.
At least my jet ski survived.
This is not just a calm water. You're going to have waves, even whitecaps on the surge inland.
It's going to be nasty. You could, trying to think that you could walk in it. Please do not think that, all right? This thing will carry you away, especially when we've got the forecast that could go up to 15
feet. They can't control the weather. Please read for chatters. My cousin is an insurance claims agent. When you make claims, be as specific as possible. If you say toaster, they'll pay you $3 toaster. Else, if you say brand name model toaster, they will have to try to pay closer to that actual toaster. Also, receipts and bank statements of the item will help. One thing also that you will have permanent receipts for is the subscription that you pay to the Hasanabi broadcast at the top of the hour to avoid the 3-minute ad break. Regardless of your circumstances, no matter where you're tuning in from, as long as you're inside of the North American continent, you are going to see a 3-minute ad break at the top of the hour. So the best way to avoid that is by subscribing for $6 or for free with a Twitch Prime. Or you can also get gifted a sub from Calm Like a Tom. Thank you for the 10 tier 1 gifted subs. This is another way that you can avoid the ad break at the top of the hour. Walk around your house, take a video of everything in it while you vocally say what the thing is in detail, and that is the documentation of you owning the stuff. It will help. Flocky, thank you for the 10 community gift the subs. Barry Balls and another 10. Toro Tragas, thank you for the 5 gift the subs. I hope the next fart you do is a shit. That's really, I would not wish that upon my worst enemy. That's fucked up. Here's a 3-minute ad break now. I live in Florida and I'm not evacuating because I just installed a 16-foot lift kit on my F-350. Do you think that's a good idea? Shut the fuck up, chatter. God damn. Hell yeah, partner. You're gonna be fine. Okay. Good God. Hurricane hunters face turbulence flying through Hurricane Milton.
Up close look at Hurricane Milton. This is powerful video coming from hurricane hunters who flew into the storm. It is impressive footage and it gives you a glimpse at what is headed for this community. Let's watch.
Yeah, they're cloud seeding, according to that one guy that we watched last night. May Poontang, thank you for the 10 tier 1 gift to subs. That's right. Why is the NOAA plane flying into the hurricane, the eye of the storm, brother? Get woke. That's right. They're doing it. They're doing the damn thing. They're making it way worse on purpose. They're cloud seeding. They're doing weather control. I've never seen a dang thing like it in my life. They're vaccinating the hurricane. They're doing woke gender. They're dropping dry ice in the hurricane.
47. Pretty good. Pretty good. 5. Let me grab my phone real quick. Yeah. Well.
Hell no, dude. That is, whoo, boy, that is fucked up.
Damn.
These got to be the coolest nerds on the planet, like straight up, bar none, by the way. Like their job literally is to fly into hurricanes. Like they are the coolest fucking nerds on the planet. psychotic work, but someone's got to do it. Why don't they have a bunch of planes fly into the storm at an angle to redirect it? We made like thousands of planes to fight Erpen during World War II. Wouldn't there be enough propeller to move it? That's awesome. Yeah. That's like all I mean, how do I respond to that? Do you understand the wind speeds we're talking about, dude? There is not like this is like fucking around the same vein as like nuking the hurricane, okay? Which kind of makes more sense more than the plane situation, the propeller situation, because like at least the nuke has enough energy. Like there's no way you could make enough energy to redirect a hurricane to shoot it off course. Like, and the nuke one obviously is still stupid. Like, make no mistake. I'm just saying that, yeah, according to NOAA and other scientific sources, a hurricane can release an amount of energy equivalent to roughly 10,000 nuclear bombs over its lifetime, meaning a single hurricane packs the power of 1,000 nuclear explosions. Yeah, a nuke doesn't have enough energy to redirect a hurricane. I'm just saying that, like, if a nuke doesn't have enough energy to redirect a hurricane, obviously a big fan is not going to be able to, like, if we had a fan as powerful as a hurricane, okay, this would be one of the most devastating weapons that we've ever created. It would have to create 10,000 nukes worth or 1,000 nukes minimum worth of energy. Then you would just use that instead of nukes. Like this would be I think it's literally impossible to do such a thing.
Yeah, damn is right, followed by nervous laughter. Very powerful video there. Imagine the force of those winds and all that rain hitting a community.
This is one of my favorite CNN guys. I can't believe they sent his ass out to the fucking hurricane. He's doing hurricane duty. It's kind of messed up. Please be safe, sir. His coverage on Israel-Palestine is the reason why he doesn't get the Tel Aviv gig, and he has to sit in Treasure Island, Florida now and talk about 15 feet of water that might be coming down on him. It's messed up, dude.
That's already been weathered by the storm. We actually want to get you a perspective from someone who is going to be not close to Treasure Island, roughly about 2 hours away in Sarasota, but is still concerned about the effects of Hurricane Milton. We have with us Eric Arroyo. He's a Sarasota County Commissioner. Eric, thank you so much for being with us. First and foremost, what is your chief concern about Hurricane Milton as you're hearing that it is flirting with Category 5 winds?
Yeah, thank you for having me on the show. We are in a state of emergency, and my biggest concern right now is that individuals living in Zone A, B, or C of the city are not going to evacuate. That is my concern, and they need to heed this warning because this is a 100-year storm. This is unprecedented. If you made it through Debbie, if you made it through Ian, this is unlike anything we've ever faced before, and it is heading right through us.
Sir, I wonder what you would say to residents like some of the folks in the building adjacent to where we're standing. These folks, I spoke to them a short while ago. They didn't want to go on camera, but they were weighing the idea.
Someone brought up different ways to try and stop a hurricane.
Stop hurricanes, and the answer is not with nukes. A lot of people seem to think that if we nuke a hurricane, it'll make it go away, but these storms are way more powerful than just one nuke, so it actually would survive more likely than not, and then you've just irradiated the thing, so you have a hurricane and nuclear fallout to deal with. There's also the idea to drag icebergs down from the Arctic to try to cool down the water, but as Leonardo DiCaprio taught us, cold water sinks. These use water on the surface, so it wouldn't really react to anything. There's also the plan to possibly fly jets in the opposite direction as the hurricane spins to try to dissipate it and counteract it.
I can't believe that's wow. People have thought that. Wow.
That would be like using 40 fruit flies as defense against Shaquille O'Neal's dunk. It would do absolutely nothing. There's also the theory that if you had fans on shore, you could just blow the hurricane away. But these can be the size of the state of Texas at times, so that just wouldn't work. We have to coexist with them, building better infrastructure and heating evacuations when they're issued.
Nah! Shut up, libtard! I don't believe you. Nuke the goddamn hurricane. I'm gonna shoot it. I'm gonna shoot it. Oh my God. Yeah, if we had offshore wind turbines, we could just blow the hurricane away, but DeSantis banned it, dude. Exactly. I love that, like, while this is happening, and it's directly happening as a consequence of anthropogenic climate change, okay, making the water temperatures rise, which ends up making the hurricanes more powerful, okay? Ron DeSantis, in the midst of all of this, has banned the mention of climate change from textbooks in the state of Florida, and also recently banned offshore wind turbines. That's what they're doing. It is so insane, dude. He's like, Florida is gonna be a coal-powered state. Drill, baby, drill. It's so fucking stupid. My grandpa worked at NOAA and was a literal director of the National Hurricane Center in Miami. He doesn't believe in climate change. I recently learned we are distant relatives of Al Gore. My grandpa disowns that connection because Al Gore acknowledged climate change. He also has mainline Fox News for the last 20 years. So there's that. Someone at that level of knowledge to refuse to acknowledge it makes me feel hopeless. That's awesome. That's amazing. It's like being an astronaut and being convinced that the earth is flat, dude. That is amazing. Or like that oceanographer who literally lives next to the ocean and refuses to move, despite the fact that his job requires him to understand and accurately predict ocean levels rising. He's like, yeah, but the beaches are really nice. Here we go, visual aid. There it is. Wondering if you've seen quality reporting on trad insurers leaving Florida being replaced with shitty new ones. If the shitty new companies go insolvent, then it seems likely the government will be left holding the bag very bigly. I mean, yeah. Like I said, in the aftermath of these sorts of events, everyone becomes a fucking dirty little commie.
So they are building a wall between the Bay and Tampa General Hospital. It's actually called the Aqua Fence, and it is a fence. It's watertight. It's worked in other countries. Will it work in Tampa, though? As Paul's always said, flooding is often a bigger danger than wind, especially in our area. And as we know, Tampa General Hospital is right on the bay, right there on Davis Island.
Oh, yeah. And Fox.
It's literally on an island. Why? Why did they do that? It makes no dang sense.
13's Lloyd Sauer shows us the new way they're protecting that century-old hospital and the hundreds of patients who will ride out the storm.
They work fast right there to build a wall against the storm.
It takes 3 full days.
Please stop saying anthropogenic. It's capitalogenic. Liberals want us to think it's the fault of everyone, just a human being. Dude, it's man-made, okay? Shut up. Capitalism is also man-made. What the fuck are you talking about? Jesus Christ. The point is, it's fucking man-made. It is. We are doing it. We are responsible for it. Okay?
For our team to set it up, about 60 guys.
It's called the Aqua Fence, 1,000 feet long, 9 feet high, designed to protect Tampa General Hospital from a 15-foot storm surge.
We're a 100-year-old hospital, and we're right here on the bay.
Florida is man-made, kind of like the Netherlands. Excuse me, it is absolutely not like the Netherlands, because the Netherlands at least recognizes that building an entire city that's technically underwater is going to be a massive problem in the future. So at least they have like preventative techniques, okay? Different ways of fucking, floating the entire goddamn country. Actually, all of these engineers from the Netherlands are going to be some of the most valuable fucking people on the planet in the next couple of decades, given all of the construction work that they're doing. It's like having Japanese engineers come to the state of California to harden our infrastructure. The thing is, the Netherlands also doesn't have these massive fucking tropical hurricanes that are happening all the time, yearly.
We can't evacuate. There's not enough hospital beds in the region to take our patients.
At a cost of $1 million, they say each time they put it up, they improve it.
Yeah, the walls
but
are
the real
sick.
force that holds it.
The Aqua Fence is such an incredible invention because it's so goddamn simple, and it's awesome. It's great. Like I've watched like smaller Aqua Fence versions of this on TikTok before. And it's great. It's like, it literally holds up by the weight of the water itself. It's fantastic. The problem is what happens when the storm surge is over the height of the fence. That capitalogenic comment made me lead the left. Yeah, I know.
Up is when floodwater piles onto the horizontal base.
So the weight of the water actually supports the wall.
Yeah.
And we bolted into the ground to keep the wind from blowing it over before the water gets here.
We're told the aqua fence has been used for years in places like Norway to keep streams within their banks. Here in Tampa, it's used to protect a major hospital built right on the water.
Tampa General was built in the 1920s on an island in the bay.
Oh, this is okay. This makes more sense. Built in the 1920s, they built it to avoid spreading like viral diseases or some shit.
Hey, people still wonder why they would build it there. Just a few years after the hurricane of 1921. That was the last time Tampa suffered a direct hit from a major hurricane.
Not an ideal location to build a facility like this.
But the army of installers doesn't second guess the decision of 100 years ago. They drilled wells in case city.
Yeah, the problem is you had 100 years to build a separate hospital. What the fuck, man? Like, that's crazy. You built it, a massive hurricane fucked it up, and you were like, well, this is a really good plot of land. This seems like this seems like the perfect place, dude. It's fine. Let's just rebuild it. Oh my God.
Water fails with backup generators, trucking in food for 5 days and preparing for the worst.
We expect that there's going to be.
The funniest part about it is that, like, yes, lightning doesn't tend to strike twice, except areas that are impacted by flooding are way more likely to be impacted by flooding again. Okay? Like, that's insane.
Be 12 feet of water. We will move all of the patients and staff up to the upper floors. It's actually safer to keep them here than to transport.
At this hospital on the bay, they build a fortress against the storm. Lloyd Sowers, Fox 13 News.
That's cool, man. You know, good luck. GG's.
Idea of potentially riding out the storm here. What would you say to them?
Lightning never strikes twice, says man whose entire house is covered in lightning rods. Okay, that's not what I'm talking about.
At this moment now, we're at about 2 p.m., a day before the storm is supposed to hit. What's your message to them?
I'll tell them exactly what I told a close family friend who's riding it out in their home in a zone A, right in the waterfront as this comes.
Go to see more dates on this and change it to 2018 coverage. A sinkhole ate that house and the neighbor's house and others just stayed there. Oh my God. I don't want to look at Google because it fucking sometimes leaks shit. Oh God. God really hates Florida. I don't really understand how people who like believe in biblical higher power shit live in Florida and not recognize. Same with Oklahoma. You got so many motherfuckers who are like, I love Christianity. I love God. It's like, bro, God is punishing you every day, dude. It's crazy. I forgot about sinkholes. My dad told me the hurricane is man-made today. He's not wrong. He's just like, it's man-made in the sense that climate change is man-made. They just don't understand how it's man-made and think it's man-made in the weather machine sense. How is it different from living on the San Andreas Fault, though? I mean, not necessarily all that different. GG's. It's just that the San Andreas, well, the thing is, as time goes on, more and more places are seemingly uninhabitable. Okay, defended Haas? No, I can't. It's not. It's the only difference is not as. Yeah, it's not like something that we are making worse. Unless we're talking about Oklahoma, where fracking has directly caused earthquakes to both increase in frequency and magnitude. The difference, however, is that like hurricanes are much more predictable and impact the same areas over and over again, whereas earthquakes are, I guess, unless the big one happens, not as damaging. And there's not really much you can do about it unless you harden your infrastructure. Like, there is a season for it. That's why the University of Miami is called the Hurricanes, the Canes. There isn't like a earthquake season in the same way that there is a hurricane season. Like, I don't think you're going to experience a hurricane in fucking, I don't know, Minnesota. Do they get hurricanes? I don't think so, right? Like, there's just areas that hurricanes are likely to hit. But to be fair, California normally doesn't experience it. And last year, there was a big panic in Los Angeles as well. So who knows? The San Andreas fault doesn't break away every year. Yeah, yet. Who knows?
I said, if you're going to ignore all the experts in every single evacuation order, get a Sharpie and write your name on your arm at least so that we can identify your body after.
That is a morbid alert at the very least. I do wonder, sir, we've seen piles of trash across Pinellas County, certainly. I know there are other parts.
Like, our problem in California is wildfires, chatters. Wildfires born out of high wind speeds that end up fucking knocking telephone poles. An endlessly preventable issue, okay? Literally one of the most preventable natural disasters of all time. Yeah, we got earthquakes and shit, but ultimately, that's not what fucking kills people by massive numbers. It's wildfires. How do we deal with it? By doing absolutely nothing, okay? Doing nothing about these goddamn municipal electricity companies that will not harden the infrastructure, okay? It is the most preventable thing of all time. We just don't do anything about it. Like, there was a long time ago, the California state government should have technically taken over all of the local municipal electricity companies, all the power companies. They should have just taken over PG&E and been like, no, it's ours now. You are obviously incapable. You are obviously incapable of dealing with the problem. You are refusing to deal with the problem. Investor-owned utilities is the term you're looking for. Exactly. They didn't do that. And they refuse to, the government refuses to prosecute them, or at least they fucking hold up all of these court cases and refuse to listen to the injunctions delivered by the court. There's not really any movement there. And the most predictable thing happens every time there's a fucking wildfire season. Remember when PG&E caused a fuck ton of wildfires and then later promoted themselves by saying they're putting in stuff to resist wildfires as if they didn't start them? Yeah. That's why I always say half the country is underwater and the other half of the country is on fire. Okay?
Of the west coast of the Gulf Coast of Florida that have seen this issue, debris left over from Hurricane Helene. Can you give us an update on the status, what that looks like in Sarasota? You weren't directly hit by Hurricane Helene, but I know that there were problems there because I have relatives in that area.
Yeah, many problems, and there is still some debris. I was checking my email just 2 seconds ago and heard it. Now, here is the problem. Our crew, our team at the city is working around the clock and working with the county, but we have less and less contractors willing to go out into the barrier islands, which are going to be the most impacted, to pick up this debris. So it's only basically government workers now, and at some point we have to withdraw.
Oh, also another wonderful state that is the anarcho-capitalist dystopian future, Texas. The Texas power grid, according to SpectrumLocalNews.com, is one step closer to being connected to the United States grid, which is really interesting because not being connected to the United States grid is the reason why there were massive fucking power outages and continue to be massive power outages whenever there is a snowstorm or any kind of like temperature dip or, you know, other climate change disasters that hit Texas. Texas is like, goddamn libtards about to get my fucking electricity. I hate it. Ain't no way. We're not letting that happen, brother. Fuck yeah. Got angry at us for writing about this because they want to pretend they're still independent. Good stuff.
Because we're taking into account the safety of our employees. So as of right now, it's just us. There's virtually no contractors willing to send their workers out into the barrier islands. We've sought the help of as much help as we can. The National Guard has sent us some troops that are going to help and be on standby, but it's a difficult situation with limited resources. Right now, all we can do is hope for the best, but prepare for the worst.
Absolutely, and we so appreciate the work that those emergency teams do, and the last thing you would want to do is unnecessarily put them at risk. Eric, I do have one more question before we go, because I've been speaking to people around the community today about the significance of not only having two hurricanes hit 2 weeks apart, but the way that Milton transformed. You had a hurricane that, it wasn't even a hurricane, it was a tropical storm at one point, and then 24 hours later, in the warm waters of the Gulf, transforms into one of the top 10 most powerful hurricanes we've ever seen in the Atlantic. Does this sort of thing raise concerns for you about climate change and whether we're going to see more storms intensify this way in the future?
Well, we've been speaking to the experts, and what they tell us is that it's because of the warm water that creates the climate that creates these rapidly intensifying hurricanes. And you've heard of El Nino. What we have right now in the Gulf of Mexico is La Nina. It's the inverse of that, but it is warm waters that create this environment, and we're monitoring it. We're seeing what we can do. We don't have all the answers, but it's definitely something that's becoming more and more alarming, especially in
Every time I remember that a major party in this country, where is it, Chatter? Chatter said, every time I remember a major party in this country still denies the existence of climate change, I just get so depressed. Dude, it's not just a major party, okay? One major party denies it. It's all backed by massive corporations that know it's happening, but have actively spent the last multiple decades creating propaganda against it, okay? Which has caused more than 30% of this nation to also be firmly committed to not believing. The other party, on the other hand, does take some initiatives against it. I'll admit, like, the Democratic Party is definitely better than the Republican Party when it comes to climate change, recognizing its existence, trying to do their very best in terms of, like, at least hardening the infrastructure, things of that nature. Having said that, however, they also, on the other hand, are now completely capitulating to right-wing framing on this issue by being like, we see you, we hear you, we believe the science, but we're just not going to follow through on what the scientists are telling us. So it's really fucked up. Biggest climate bill ever passed by any country, still room for improvement. Yeah, I mean, it's certainly a, I think here's the way I see it, okay? The way I see it is an inevitability. Like, you have to do it, okay? It's gotten to a point where you have to do it. And if you don't do it, it's just going to kill more and more people. It's already killing people, but it's going to kill even more people, okay? That's the way I see it. In a lot of these circumstances, here, I'll give you an example from COVID, right? The American government doesn't usually give massive fucking checks out to the working poor. But during COVID, they did. Why did they do this? Under the Trump administration, the Trump bucks, if you recall. Why did they do it? Because the economy would fucking collapse. The global economy would collapse if the largest consumer engine on the planet shut down and they just didn't buy things. Okay? When push comes to shove, yes, even the Republican Party will find it in their hearts to do the right thing, the bare minimum, okay, and go in a direction that is normally not a direction that they would go in. And I think that the way I see the climate bill, like climate bills passing under Democratic leadership, is in that same vein. It is one issue that the Democrats are objectively better than the Republicans on. And it's shocking to me that they do not fucking swing from the rooftops about this, if that makes sense. Like, it is frustrating to not see the Democratic Party utilize this as a way to be like, see, it's fucking happening. Like, Republicans literally use like 26 murders caused by undocumented migrants as a successful way to propagandize about an issue that's not even a real issue. Democrats, on the other hand, have like real things that are happening to Americans on a regular basis and refuse to fucking communicate exactly why it's happening and exactly how to solve it. Okay? It's just bad politics. It's bad politics. But y'all don't read articles about climate change policy. I do get a lot of PR about it, but usually write it up. No, come on. You yourself just said, holy shit, the news mentioned climate change. Amazing. You understand that there is a massive problem with communicating exactly what's going on and exactly who is responsible for it. Okay? That's the problem. And I do think that news media would be way more open about this kind of coverage if at least one of the two major parties was regularly fucking harping about this shit. Okay? Like, it is so insane to me that the Green New Deal was packaged so perfectly. It was packaged so perfectly to not only harden the American infrastructure, but also create a fucking jobs program to transition our economy from being over-reliant on fossil fuels and instead focusing on renewable energies. And what did we do with it? The Republicans immediately went to work, they went to task, and they butchered it, they destroyed it, they communicated against it non-fucking stop. And now everybody thinks Green New Deal is a bad thing and that it actually means like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is going to come to your house and kill you if you eat a burger. They blocked it, they gutted it, and then they actively communicated against it. And look where we're at now. Most Americans literally think when you hear Green New Deal, they fucking think it's about AOC coming in and killing you if you eat a burger. It's insanely frustrating. Have you seen Future of Reasoning by Vsauce? It explains why humans can't socially, cognitively solve this abstract, faraway problem of climate change. Oh, this is something I used to talk about all the time. Climate change is unimaginably devastating, but because it's like so abstract that people can't comprehend it, it's awful. They just don't understand. Like we do not have the capacity to understand it. And when there's no interest in even listening to fucking reason or scientists, and education is getting worse and worse in a country like the United States of America, less people believe the positions of authority on this matter. And it gets even worse overall. Like the communication on this gets worse overall. And when you have a party that is actively capitulating to right-wing framing on every single fucking issue, who's supposed to defend us? Like, who's supposed to do the right things? It's not that hard to understand. You can actually look and see it. No, dude. No, that's why there is so much. It's so much simpler to believe a neatly crafted conspiracy theory. Okay? It's so much simpler to fucking believe a neatly crafted conspiracy theory that, like, it's actually Chinese space lasers or Jewish weather machines that are causing all this devastation. And people would much rather listen to this fucking bullshit than actually listen to the goddamn scientists.
In a retirement state like Florida, a tourist state like Florida, and a place that many, many call home.
Yeah, it is certainly alarming for the future. Eric Arroyo, we have to leave the conversation there. Thank you so much for joining us, and please keep us posted if there's anything we can do to get a message out for you. Thanks so much.
Carlos Suarez is trucking Milton, joins us now from Fort Myers in Florida. And Carlos, just give us a sense of what you are seeing and how people there are preparing this evening.
Well, Issa, the folks that live in Southwest Florida.
One of my uncles, a big hog, living in a suburb of Tampa and refused to leave, even though my aunt and cousins have already evacuated with their pets. My grandma told him if he refused to leave, he should stick a shotgun in his mouth and pull the trigger to save himself the death by drowning. I don't think he's he's gonna stick it through, baby. I ain't scared of no goddamn woke libtard hurricane, baby.
And to the north of where we are very much getting prepared for Hurricane Milton as it continues to make its way north. Here in Fort Myers, business after business after business has put up plywood. They have sandbags out, all in anticipation of what we expect to be some significant flooding. This one business here behind me has just started in the last couple of minutes inflating a water dam. What they're doing, what you're taking a look at right there, is an inflatable dam. They're filling it with water, all in an effort to try to keep some of the flooding out of this business. I'll tell you, though, not really sure how much this is going to work, considering that the storm surge that is being forecasted for this part of Southwest Florida is anywhere between 6 to 10 feet. And so if that does materialize, that water is going to be well above that inflatable dam here behind me. part of why this part of Fort Myers is a part of an evacuation zone is because there is a rather sizable, a major river about a block and a half from where we are. It's called the Caloosahatchee River. It goes out into the Gulf of Mexico, and it also goes into Lake Okeechobee, which is in the central part of Florida. What's going to happen, what the forecast is calling for, is that as the storm continues to make its way north and makes landfall as it stands right now, just to the north of us, we are still going.
I genuinely think like Florida's handling of climate change is the most like Floridian way of operating. Like the idea that Ron DeSantis is like, no, we're going to focus more on fucking fossil fuels, right? Is no different than the Pioneer program that they implemented in the aftermath of the fucking Parkland shooting, right? Where they were just like, oh, dude, guns? You think guns are the problem? You think ease of access to an arsenal of weapons is the fucking problem? No, the solution is more guns. We need to arm the teachers. It is so insane. It is so fucking crazy, dude. It's the exact same shit. Republicans look at a problem, and instead of acknowledging what's causing the problem, they're like, no, we need to do more of the thing that's causing the problem. The best solution to hurricane prevention is more hurricanes. It's, I don't know. I just like, I mean, we saw this. We saw complete collapse during COVID, okay? We saw this collapse already during COVID. And I'm seeing the Republicans moving in that direction towards like all of the impactful events that are caused by anthropogenic climate change, like hurricanes, like natural disasters. Don't listen to the scientists. Don't listen to the fucking warnings. It's fake. It's fake and gay.
To see all of that storm surge. We're still going to see all of that rainfall, anywhere between 6 to 8 inches over a 24-hour period. And then when you add in high tide, the fear is that that river, the Caloosahatchee, is going to overflow. It is going to crest. And so it is going to have to end up going somewhere. And that somewhere is where we are standing. This area has known to flood. 2 years ago, Hurricane Ian just pretty much destroyed a good part of Lee County and flooded a great deal of Fort Myers, where we are, and a large part of the damage was the flooding brought on by the Caloosahatchee River. And so these folks are taking the storm serious. They're trying to do everything they can to try to keep some of this water out. But I've got to tell you, if these storm surge predictions hold, I'm not entirely sure that inflatable dam is going to do much in keeping the water out of that business.
That is incredibly scary picture that you've just painted for us, Carlos, and of course important context for our viewers, because for so many of these people, of course, they only just started, right, picking up the pieces after Hurricane Helene, which also packed a punch these communities. So give us a sense, are people heeding the call, and how easy is it, Carlos, for people to get out of Tampa?
Well, so, I mean, as you noted, I was in Tampa a week ago. We were doing a story on the damage from Hurricane Helene up there, and the debris there's just not enough time has passed for officials and cities to clear that debris. And so the concern going into this storm is all of a sudden that stuff becomes like missiles. It becomes, projectiles. And the last thing you want are pieces of furniture and cabinetry and water tanks, being thrown around in 100 and 125 mile per hour winds. As for whether or not folks are getting out, I can tell you, having crossed over from South Florida last night, people are hitting the roads. They are trying to get over to South Florida on the eastern side of Florida. If they live north of where we are, they're trying to get more inland into the Orlando area. And then if they're not going to the Orlando area, they're just trying to get farther north from where they live in the Tampa Bay area, because as you noted, the forecast track, if that holds, we're looking at a very powerful storm that's going to hit the Tampa Bay area over the next couple of days.
Yeah, very concerning indeed for everyone. Carlos Suarez, appreciated. Thank you very much, Carlos.
And, he's obsessed with driving up preparedness for Hurricane Milton, which could be one of the worst storms in 100 years to hit Florida, and continued efforts on Hurricane Helene.
Isn't it over land right now at Cancun? Why are they not showing the hurricane there? I will be showing that. Hurricane Milton lashes the Mexican coast, bringing strong wind and rain to Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula. But remember, it's not making landfall or directly hitting Yucatan. This is like the edges of it. So this is basically grazing Yucatan. So it's not, the impact in the middle is going to be significantly worse for Tampa. Grazing Yucatan, not glazing Yucatan. Is there anything the US can do to incentivize other countries to decrease pollution? I think we should get our shit together, but also China and India combined make 30% of our climate change issues. Jumped in my 5.0. Yes, you're right. Have you ever looked at like who the mass consumers are, like at all? Bro, the cruise liner industry, okay? The cruise liner industry emits as much carbon pollution as the entirety of commercial and regular car travel inside of the entire European continent. Okay? You are fucking out of your dang mind. Yeah, India emits 1/8 as much as USA per person. An American's fridge. No, that cruise liner thing isn't correct. It's SO2 and it's an old stat. Okay. An American's fridge or like a crypto miner is causing more causing more pollution than like entire countries. And you're over here being like, why is nobody thinking about China? In terms of per capita carbon emissions, we are fucking putting up numbers, dude. I saw a TikTok about climate change that bummed me out so bad. The weather we're experiencing right now is likely because of the pollution from the 90s and early 2000s, and any changes we make right now won't be felt for the next 30 years. Strap in, chat. Yeah, and a big chunk of the pollution from India and China is because the West outsources their emissions to the third world, and even then, their per capita emissions are nothing in comparison to the average American. Like, look at this. Per capita consumption-based CO2 emissions in 2021. The United States, by and large, is the top alongside Saudi Arabia and Oman. Damn, okay, Mongolia. Popping off. I'm asking so they could also hold us accountable to decrease our shit. Yeah, dude. That's never going to happen. Okay?
Second most important city. Beautiful buildings, beautiful streets, a gorgeous city. When I see cities like this, I think also about the other side of it. You know, there's a phrase from Walter Benjamin, every monument of civilization is also a monument of barbarism. I think of the famines in Bengal, the jute workers in Bengal sending jute to Dundee through the Glasgow port. I think of human beings from Africa enslaved and brought from Ghana to the New World, and all those prophets getting sucked into cities like London and Glasgow. You know, between 1765 and 1938, the British Isles stole $45 trillion pounds from India, 45 trillion sterling from India. We never got paid for that. When the British left India, when we threw the British out, our literacy rate was 13%. So much for several hundred years of so-called civilization. Meanwhile, our landscapes were destroyed. You know, coal was foisted on India. You foisted coal on us. You were the ones that came and made us coal dependent. And then you left, and now you dare to condescend to us. When I listened to Boris...
Oh, this is another one. The U.S. military emits more CO2 than many industrialized nations. An infographic from 2022. Okay, that's the other side of the equation. Here's the United States military emitting more CO2 than many nations. Okay, this is from 2017. The U.S. military emits more CO2 than the entire country of Morocco, Peru, Sweden, Hungary, Finland, New Zealand, Norway, Switzerland. Okay, it's laughable when motherfuckers chirp about like paper straws or try to universalize the blame. A chatter debunk what you said about the propeller planes. Oh, this is I think it was Oliver, right? Who went and asked his PhD friend, hey, so I know it definitely is impossible. Theoretically, if we were to use warplanes to try and slow down Hurricane Milton, how many would it take to make a dent? I'm so busy today, but I'm bored, and this sounds more fun than work. Theoretically, if you had 3 million F-35s running with full afterburners, it would be enough to prevent the ad break. So yeah, if we used all of the world's resources to only make F-35s, we could slow down a Category 5 hurricane. Man can't beat Mother Nature. I'm done, dude. No more trust. You've destroyed the sacred bond of trust between chatters. Even good chatters are out here. Using increasingly more complicated methods. It's fucked up. It's fucked up. It's actually fucked up. Y'all are dicks, dude. It is better than two-parters. That's messed up. It was Oliver, wasn't it? Fucking asshole. Anyway. Yes, chatters are correct. At the top of the hour, there's a 3-minute ad break. If you no longer want to see those ads, well, then all you need to do is subscribe, which you can do for $6 or for free with a Twitch Prime. Here's the 3-minute ad break now. You can also get gifted a sub if you're lucky. Here it is. Imagine the utopia we'd be living in if chat put this much brain power into literally anything else. Yeah. God damn. Rose Dog, thank you for the 5 tier 1 gifted subs. Bizacore, thank you for the 5 gifted subs as well. God damn. Nandra said, at me for a gifted chat. Okay, Flexer. Otican Jack, thank you for the 5 gifted.
I've directed this team to do everything it can to save lives. And
Nandre, I don't know why you said at me, because obviously now everyone is adding you. Shiv Saklani, thank you for the 10 gifted, including but not limited to sub chatters. Top of the hour bot gave that a 9.85 with 629 chatters that rated it. Milton is now officially back up to check my messages. That was my debate, stolen valor. Okay, Corso 117. Fucked up that you would take ownership over destroying me so hard. So it wasn't even the other chatter who stole it from another chatter who stole it from you. Fucking dick. Fuck you guys, man. Moments like this make me think it would be so much easier if I just fucking sat around and talked about women in video games, okay?
Help our communities before, during, and after these extreme weather events, and that's being done. That's being done. I've spoken to all the political leaders in the region. Some of them.
No, you don't have to be good at video games for that. Asmongold is not good at video games. What do you mean? You definitely don't have to be good at video games. You don't even have to play video games. You just have to talk about how shitty video games are nowadays because women are in it or something.
More than once. And,
because woke.
I've told them anything they ask for, they can get. We've given, and we've gotten overwhelming response, positive response from everyone from the governors of Florida up to North Carolina. And mayors, leaders, local have expressed their sincere gratitude for the work of FEMA and for the work of my entire administration. Now, I've also surged thousands of federal personnel on the ground across the Southeast already and deliver every available resource as fast as possible. And my priority is to increase the size and presence of our effort. And as we prepare for another catastrophic storm about to make landfall.
Yeah, by the way, in the midst of this all, Biden administration no longer supporting an immediate ceasefire in Lebanon, says State Department spokesman Matthew Miller. Yes, we do support Israel launching these incursions to degrade Hezbollah's infrastructure. Wonderful.
You know, I've been in constant contact with our director of the national.
This is so cool. When you hear him talk like this, it's so cool that like all the people around him unironically made the argument that he had 4 more years in him. Okay? Like that's awesome. That people were like, no, this guy's gonna fucking win the election. He wasn't, okay? And then be the president for the next 4 years.
The Weather Service, Ken Graham, has kept me informed the last several days of what to anticipate.
The problem with all the but India, China stuff, it's always used as a way to excuse lack of action, and it's effective in that way, but that's why previous agreements failed and the Paris Accords hasn't yet, because it's more open to allowing countries to build their own pathways. Pathways will obviously be different between developed and undeveloped world. Yeah, also China is taking the initiative in terms of changing, in terms of at least like creating sustainable methods of building a solid renewable energy infrastructure. So I don't even know why the fuck people are just like, oh, dude, well, what about the Chinese? Like, I'm surprised Fango is not more of a fucking China simp, honestly.
You never know until it happens, but they're very, very engaged. He made clear to me just how dangerous this storm is, indicating that winds had reached up to 180 miles an hour. 180, that's not guaranteed it's going to hit the shore at 100.
In just a few years, China has built this world-class fusion.
The other issue with like China actually fucking being leaps ahead in terms of like building the infrastructure and also manufacturing capabilities for renewable energy is that this causes us, because they're our great enemy, okay? This causes us in the United States to be more over-reliant on destroying the fucking planet. Every time China has like secured a new contract with rare earth minerals, like a country that has natural resources that are desperately needed to build batteries or whatever the fuck for renewable energy, America dives 10 feet deeper into the fucking oil fields. We're like, oh, well, you fuck China. I'll show them. Like, it almost feels like our goal is to just destroy the planet before we build a reliable means of surviving on it. Fuck it. We're going to frack harder every time they try to fucking build new battery tech.
Research camp.
Milton update. Milton is back to being Cat 5 with 165 miles per hour winds and a minimum pressure of 918 millibars. The NHC is urging all Florida residents to evacuate if told to do so. Key messages from the NHC. A large area of destructive storm surge, the highest inundations of 10 feet or greater, is expected along a portion of the west central coast of the Florida Peninsula. If you are in the storm surge warning area, this is an extremely life-threatening situation. You should evacuate today if ordered by local officials. There will likely not be enough time to wait to leave on Wednesday. Devastating hurricane force winds are expected along portions of the west coast of Florida where a hurricane warning is in effect. Waffle House Index. Our Waffle House Index status maps reflects our closures as of 2 p.m. in advance of Hurricane Milton. More updates to come. Please stay safe due to a potential for variations in Milton's path. This information is subject to change without notice. That's how you know this shit is done, dude. There you go. One of the most reliable ways of figuring out how devastating the natural disaster is going to look like. That's a joke, right? That's the most American thing I've ever heard in my life. It used to be. Now, not so much. Everything is burger in great USA. Yeah. That's that reliable public-private partnership in action, and a lot of you chatters are refusing to reckon with it. It's quite fucked up. Let's do this instead. This is boring. I don't care about nuclear fusion.
China, the big bad boogeyman for the West, leads the world in clean energy production. Contrary to the image we're supposed to have of them from all the Red Scare propaganda and xenophobic fear-mongering. Once seen as a major polluter, China has, in recent decades, implemented a rapid transition to clean energy, away from fossil fuels. This monumental transformation is happening even as Western sanctions and tariffs on Chinese renewable products threaten to stall this critical progress. In this video, we'll take a look at China's remarkable journey, explain why this all happened, and discuss the crucial role China plays in the fight against climate catastrophe. But before we do, I'd like to take a quick moment to thank our channel sponsor, Aura. As you all know, we make political content here and on our other channels. Unfortunately, that means some people don't like us very much. These days, a quick Google search is all it takes to find someone's personal information. Peace of mind.
This is an older video,
Support the
so I'm
show and
skipping
protect
it.
your valuable data by signing up today at the link below. The foundation for China's remarkable economic ascent was built on Mao's industrialization policies of the 1950s through the 70s, but it really took off in the 1980s, transforming an impoverished agricultural nation into an industrial powerhouse within just a few decades, an unprecedented achievement given its vast population of 1.4 billion people. China's rapid growth has puzzled Western economists, who genuinely believe free market capitalism to be the most effective approach. This swift transformation is a testament to the success of the Chinese model of economic development, exemplified by significant state intervention and planning, two of the scariest things to Western politicians. By 2016, China's per capita income...
It goes against our entire principle. It goes against our entire worldview. And the only way that it was okay. The only thing I will say about this is the reality that China was able to sneak away by offering basically free labor, okay, for years and years. The only reason why it was allowed to utilize central planning to develop this way in such a short period of time that confuses Western economists is because they were not brought to heel through direct warfare, because it was the manufacturing hub for all of our favorite greedy capitalists. That's it. It was far too good for the profit margins It was for our capital owners. They were like, no, it's great. It's fine. Even if they steal our IP, it's fine. This was basically, short of like being in writing for decades, that China was like, we'll be the manufacturing hub for you. You will be able to transfer all of your labor to the Chinese economy, but in return, we just take your IP. Everybody knew that was happening. They didn't give a shit because they were like, what are they going to do? They can't make fucking comparable products. No foresight whatsoever. Exactly. Short-term profit seeking. And also it was quite beneficial for capital owners because guess what? They ended up undermining U.S. labor. They ended up undermining Western labor in general. That was the reason why, unlike other countries that had socialist or socialist adjacent projects of their own or tried to implement some kind of central planning, obviously one of the consequences was also not having the technology to be able to implement it. But beyond that, the major reason why there was no hellfire brought upon China was that it was too valuable for capital owners. Okay? That's it. And in that time frame, not because of the opening of the Chinese markets that China was able to thrive, it was the central planning that continued, that caused the benefits, the capital that was flowing into China to be distributed as evenly as possible. Okay? I don't even like the steal our IP thing. Everyone seems to think that that's how they got good at EVs, but Belt and Road battery development are not stolen IP. They're just superior planning. They were late to the EV game, but are ramping so much faster than everyone else. People also complain about state subsidies, but we do that too. And to be honest, our dollar value subsidies, the EV producers are higher. They just came later. Yeah, if you want to see what it would look like if China developed in a way that was more beneficial for capitalists without maintaining some kind of like central planning over this vast land with 1 billion people, look to India. That's why a lot of neoliberals love India as the new manufacturing hub, as a counter to Chinese influence. Obviously, it's far more complicated than just that, but you know, that is the major. That is what it looks like when you don't have capital. When you have capital flowing into your foreign capital flowing into your country, but you don't have any sort of interest in. Through fascist governance in implementing any sort of larger anti-capitalist planning that ends up benefiting as many people as possible. Obviously, India was also significantly worse off in terms of its colonial impact. There are many different reasons for it. There's a lot more. There's a lot more inner political struggle. India is so vast. So is China, but like India also has its own litany of political complications. I'm not like saying India is like one unit versus China is another. These are very reductive. These are very reductive terms in which to describe it. But, you know, let's continue.
Income had surged, and the country had become the world's largest manufacturer, producing nearly 50% of the world's major industrial goods, including crude steel, cement, and coal. It shouldn't come as a surprise that these advances also landed them the number 2 spot, earning the title of the world's second largest economy.
Meanwhile, in the U.S., traditional auto manufacturers look for any excuse to get out of the EV game, so they lobby for tariffs and then cool their production plans. Tariffs are not great. Tariffs are not for more time to ramp. It's just protectionist bullshit because they got beat. Yeah, but the other side of that problem is that when you fucking slap on tariffs and you also refuse to fucking compete with China on EV production, refuse to ramp up EV production, then they're going to outcompete you until, like, what's the plan here? Just larger fucking trucks forever? Just every American, I'm not going to stop until every American has a Ford F-450. Like, we're not going to stop until everyone has a baby murder machine, a tank that's run on fucking coal and oil. Like, what are we doing? The fuck are we doing? It's so idiotic. Tariffs are also additionally stupid if you're going to refuse to fucking manufacture domestically. Like, tariffs and protectionist policies such as that one are effective if you have a competitive product that you are also creating. If you refuse to create a competitive product, then why the fuck are you even slapping tariffs on that? All you're doing is driving up prices. It makes no sense. I genuinely think it's just short-term profit seeking in general. Same thing happened in the 70s with then Japan was the dominant auto manufacturer for 50 years. Yeah. Oh, I know. Oh, I fucking know. Okay. I just want a goddamn Toyota Crown and a fucking Toyota Hilux. That's all I want.
This staggering growth placed China far ahead of many developed nations in industrial output and innovation. But it's not all sunshine and rainbows. As China has industrialized, it has picked up not only the positives of Western-style development, but also the negatives. Rising divorce and suicide rates, widespread business fraud and scandals, and pervasive asset bubbles. It also came with an arguably far higher cost, a severe environmental crisis. The environmental impact of China's industrialization was profound. Studies conducted in Zhuzhou City revealed significant pollution from heavy metals in air, water, and soil. Heavy metals from industrial waste were found to settle in the sediment of the Xiang River, causing inconsistent changes in concentrations over time. This pollution had significant implications for both the environment and public health, as heavy metals which enter the food chain lead to severe health problems. The primary pollutants, including cadmium, lead, copper, and zinc, were largely attributed to concentrated industrial activity.
Yeah, every car manufacturer admits. I read this article. Ford CEO says the Chinese EV industry is the biggest threat to its business. CEO Jim Farley went to China and was terrified. Jim Farley's trying to learn from his greatest competitor and is now trying to copy parts of China's electric vehicle playbook. I just want a Ford F100 concept, dude. Please. Please. I just want it so fucking bad. I want it more than I want anything else, okay? That's all I want. I want the Ford F100 concept EV. I want it so fucking bad. Please, please, please make it. Please. Please make it. Mass produce it. I swear it will sell out. I swear. Also, steal the Chinese IP. Make it fucking use that, like, battery and then gas powered generator system that they have over there. I don't give a fuck. Just please. The fuck is your ass gonna carry in a truck? First of all, it's ironic that you say this because one, I have a surprising amount of need for a truck due to my brother. And also, secondly, it's weirder that I fucking drive around in a goddamn Taycan with this fucking demon in the back seat barely fitting. Don't you guys have the Ford F-150 Lightning? Yeah, but it's not that good. God, it looks so fucking sick. The F-100 Illuminator concept. Oh, God, I want it so bad. Oh, it's so fucking sick. Anyway, let's continue.
Vegetables absorbed heavy metals more easily than rice, but the concentration of heavy metals in both was higher than the edible standard and background value. Like other economic powers, China's environmental challenges have not been isolated. The global nature of its economic activities means that pollution and environmental degradation have far-reaching consequences. This is a critical consideration as China continues to play a central role in the global economy, influencing environmental policies and practices worldwide. While the U.S. continues to roll back environmental protections under both Republican and Democrat leadership, China's approach to climate change is refreshingly ambitious, and they've been meeting or exceeding many of their pledged goals. The Chinese government has officially recognized climate change as a significant threat and has set comprehensive goals to address it, something not typically seen among Western nations where there's still a debate as to whether or not it's happening during yet another hottest year on record. In September 2020, President Xi Jinping announced China's aim to achieve carbon neutrality by 2060, which has and will require substantial changes in the country's economic and energy infrastructure. This goal has been supported by numerous policies designed to reduce emissions and promote low-carbon technologies. From 2019 to 2021, China led the world in new solar, wind, and hydropower projects, as well as in the production and sales of electric vehicles and deployment of nuclear power plants. China's 1+N policy framework includes long-term plans, such as the 14th Five-Year Plan for a Modern Energy System and the Action Plan for Carbon Dioxide Peaking before 2030, which emphasize scaling up clean energy sources and investing in future industries. The country is currently providing the world an excellent example of what serious state-level climate action looks like. They engage in real diplomacy aimed at addressing real problems and implement robust, effective policies. Because of this approach, China is positioning itself as a global leader in renewable energy deployment and climate change mitigation. Over the last few years, China has consistently topped global rankings for new renewable energy capacity, underscoring its commitment to sustainable energy sources. The country's advancements in energy storage and grid infrastructure have been pivotal, enabling the efficient integration of renewable energy into the national grid and enhancing energy security. A major part of their technological dominance comes in the form of their electric vehicle investment. China has made significant strides in EVs. In 2022, a quarter of all new cars purchased in China were electric or plug-in hybrids, supported by a vast network of over 4 million charging stations. This rapid adoption is driven by extensive government subsidies, long-term investments, and a robust infrastructure that supports these cars. A comprehensive approach that's unthinkable in the West. Chinese companies like BYD and SEAL are global leaders in EV and battery technology, innovative features, and market share. Chinese domestic manufacturers have been particularly aggressive in integrating new technologies into their vehicles, such as advanced entertainment features.
BYD's quick battery swap stations are also a game changer. It's interesting because Elon Musk said he was going to do that and then never did, and then said it was impossible to do. And what he meant by that was, and Megaphonics in the chat has defended Elon Musk for saying that, even though at the time it was impossible to do while maintaining, the profit margins that they wanted to maintain. Where's Megaphonics?
Voice-activated controls, making Chinese EVs highly competitive globally. There's a reason the West, especially the US, put such absurd tariffs and import restrictions on Chinese cars. Why would anyone buy a $100,000 domestic car when a Chinese model vastly outcompetes it in specs and price? Despite the popularity of electric cars, China's public transport sector also showcases significant technological advances.
I don't think the battery swap thing is a game changer. When Tesla did it, it was to game the CA credit system, which was dumb and set up to advantage hydrogen cars. But people ended up not wanting to use it. They'd rather just supercharge. Why did you mention me? I was doing work. Remember when you defended Elon Musk saying that it's impossible to do battery swap many, many years ago? I never forgave and I never forgot. It might have been Fango Lives that said it. It was one or the other. Pretty sure it was Megaphonics.
Advancements. China leads in the adoption of electric buses, with cities like Shenzhen achieving 100% electric bus fleets in 2017, 7 years ago at time of writing. This transition has set a high and necessary bar for urban transport electrification. The majority of the world's electric buses operate in China, which has led to a massive reduction in urban air pollution and greatly enhanced public transport sustainability. And now we come to one of the more controversial clean energy alternatives.
I follow a Brazilian communist streamer who's very critical of China and was invited to the country by the Chinese government along with South American influencers and was completely shocked by the Xiaomi factory. That's fucking bullshit. The Chinese government invited a critical communist Brazilian streamer. Okay, I need to be more critical of China. That's fucking bull. Oh God. Oh no. I'm critical of China in all the worst ways that they will never actually. They won't invite me. They won't invite me because the things I'm critical of China are things that they're not going to change or things that they've done that they choose not to acknowledge. If I was critical of China in like dumbass ways, like, oh, it's going to collapse any day now, they probably would invite me. I'm out here simping for free. I saw Megaphonics say that. I was the battery.
We're talking, of course, about nuclear energy. And here again, China is making substantial progress, currently constructing about a third of the world's new nuclear power capacity, a massive long-term investment in energy diversification. This clearly demonstrates that
the doubter will always get closer access to the Lord.
They aren't focused on short-term financial gains, but rather are building for the future.
I'm going to start subtly being like, I bet these Chinese high-speed rail projects are bullshit. Trains can't go that fast. Come on. Prove it, China. What are these tier 1 cities? What are these tier 1 cities all about? I don't believe it. I bet they're all ghost cities. They're all empty. It would sure be a shame if the Chinese government invited me to go visit them in person. That would sure be bad. Oh, man. There I'd be with egg on my face if they were to prove that these tier 1 cities are actually technological marvels. I don't believe it. There you go.
Expansion in nuclear energy complements China's renewable energy efforts by providing a stable and low-carbon energy supply to support its long-term climate goals. In general, the renewable sector has been a major positive in the Chinese economy, benefiting from a surge in government stimulus as Beijing recovered from the effects of COVID-19. China's dedication to combating climate change extends to its active participation in global climate agreements. Their pledged commitments under the Paris Agreement are significant, aiming to peak carbon.
It's crazy because, like, I already do it for free. Why pay for the cow when you can get the milk for free? Okay, they're out here giving money to fucking streamers again to play Wukong again. I already played it for free and glazed it the entire goddamn way. Okay, that's the problem. That's the problem, chat. I'm already giving that titty milk. I'm lactating like a motherfucker. Bro, on that close-up shot, you can really tell that you're 35. Really? You can? That's crazy. You like it? I'll keep doing it. Kind of wrong the joke about this.
Carbon dioxide emissions by 2030 and achieve carbon neutrality by 2060. China's nationally determined contributions, or NDCs, reflect a genuine ambition to reduce carbon intensity and increase the share of non-fossil fuel energy sources. In 2021, in the Paris Agreement commitments that China submitted to the UN, Beijing pledged to strictly limit coal growth, strictly control new coal power, reduce energy and carbon intensity by 2025, increase the share of non-fossil energy sources to 20% by 2025 and 25% by 2030, and to generate 50% of the increase in energy use from 2020 to 2025 from renewable sources. Through these international commitments and proactive policies, China is not only addressing its domestic energy needs, but also contributing significantly to global efforts to mitigate climate change. Now that we've looked at a successful approach, which is making...
The fuck do you say to people that argue that the Chinese move the green energy is shit and bad because of solar panels and wind turbines use materials bad for the environment? Or they talk about, like, the natural resource extraction process that is done through, like, incredibly unethical means. And the question you should ask them is how they feel about oil and gas in general. Because from a utilitarian framework, it's still better for the fucking environment overall. If both of these natural resources are being extracted in insanely fucking violent and unethical means, at least one is significantly better than the other in terms of its impact on the environment. And also, I have noticed that. I have noticed this argument where they'll be like, well, your fucking, you know, your batteries, like these batteries that you need to use for EVs are being extracted in incredibly unethical means, which is crazy. Okay? Because we've literally sent out, like, Shell and ExxonMobil have employed paramilitaries in places like Nigeria specifically to, you know, kill whichever leadership was not giving them the best possible contract. So the idea that, like, that the current oil extraction scheme is far more ethical than like the conflict minerals necessary for renewable energy and the battery structures that they have is ridiculous. Like, half of the population of oil countries are Bangladeshi slaves, and these motherfuckers talk about human rights. Exactly.
Making a meaningful impact on climate change, let's look at the West and see how they're approaching apocalyptic, irreversible climate change. If political rhetoric is to be believed, it must be better than China, right? Let's start with the United States. The approach in the world's richest and most powerful country primarily relies on profit-driven market solutions for the clean energy transition and climate change mitigation. Unfortunately, we can all see how that's going. Despite significant technological advancements on paper, the pace of adoption and implementation is too slow to meet the urgent demands of climate change happening right now. The reliance on the private sector has not been transformative, as evidenced by the unimpressive increase in renewable energy adoption and the continued high levels of total emissions. This is the key failure of the capitalist model. When the choice is between more profit now and sustainable profits later, the short term always wins out, regardless of the consequences. The American approach is destined for failure. Relying only on the goodwill and initiative of the rich, it must somehow contend with entrenched low-cost energy infrastructure, the high cost associated with a rapid transition, and resistance from established industries. Additionally, there are financial barriers to investing in emerging technologies, especially in developing countries and among lower-income households. Policy changes such as increased investment in scientific research, ending fossil fuel subsidies, and introducing carbon pricing are necessary, but have been met with significant political resistance and are unlikely to be implemented in the time frame required. And according to many experts, we're already past that window. This profit-driven model, heavily influenced by elite economic interests and the fossil fuel lobby, has caused a slow adoption of renewables. The American approach is further undermined by the lack of comprehensive and cohesive national policies. Because what good is freedom if you can't refuse to cooperate? State-level initiatives vary widely, leading to an inefficient patchwork of regulations that are often inconsistent and insufficient. This fragmented approach to policy, coupled with reliance on the invisible hand of the market and decentralized, often childishly obstinate state government to address a global crisis requiring unified and decisive action is, to put it lightly, only a little less useless than plugging your ears and pretending climate change isn't happening, which some states also do. Next, we'll look at the European Union, United States Light. Fewer calories, same support for genocide. The EU has adopted a regulatory and policy-driven approach to clean energy and climate change, aiming for climate neutrality by 2050. This approach is far better than the US's, as it relies on comprehensive legislative frameworks and international cooperation, with significant financial investments required from member states. The EU's energy sector, responsible for over 75% of its greenhouse gas emissions, is undergoing a substantial transformation to achieve a net zero economy. However, this approach has its own drawbacks, especially for a loose federation like the EU. The financial burden placed on member states and the uneven implementation of policies across the Union are significant obstacles. The ambitious targets set by the EU require coordinated efforts from all member states, which has proven to be a complex and often contentious process. This mirrors some of the challenges the US is facing. It turns out that implementing large-scale environmental policies within a diverse political and economic union is difficult to say the least. What's more, the EU's approach exacerbates economic disparities between member states. Wealthier countries are better equipped to make the necessary investments and adjustments, while poorer nations struggle to meet the same standards without significant external support. And unfortunately for them, their fellow member states aren't helping. So, despite being a collection of the richest and most powerful nations on Earth, built upon centuries of domination and their own heavily polluted past, the West is not only failing to implement policies, they are functionally and technologically years behind China, a country that is routinely criticized for not doing enough about climate change by these very same countries. And it's not just words. The Western powers are actively trying to undermine China's progress. The West, particularly the United States and the European Union, have imposed significant sanctions and tariffs on Chinese renewable products. These actions, framed as
Hell yeah, brother. That's right. People also argue that the North American resource acquisition and extraction is more ethical and more regulated, thus being more environmentally friendly, which there is something to be said about, but this is not the argument most people think it is. North American resource acquisition and extraction is not more ethical and more well regulated. That is pure Orientalist thought. Okay? It's pure Orientalism. It's very simple. That's the precise reason why people will be like, China's policies in Xinjiang, which were unimaginably restricted and caused cultural genocide, mass fucking surveillance, all of this stuff, are far worse than the actual, literal, complete genocide, ethnic cleansing campaign that is being initiated in Gaza right now. To the Muslim population, to the Arab population. It's far worse. That is precisely the reason why people always fucking point to, like, I don't know, Chinese Coast Guard fucking pumping water at like Filipino boats or some shit in the South China Sea as like a massive point, a massive point of contention in the middle of like Russia pillaging fucking Ukraine, pummeling Eastern Ukraine, or America also funding and facilitating an ethnic cleansing campaign. It's like, it's far worse when China does like, I don't know, border wars or whatever with the fucking Indian army. It's far worse. Like a minor infraction in comparison to like major violations of any matter of international law. And before oh my God, I hate this argument because anytime I bring up Xinjiang, there are like MAGA hogs, but for China, that come in and go, well, there were extremists there. What are you supposed to do? Okay, just not realizing that you're making the same argument that America made for its war on terror in a situation where I'm like currently explaining to you that obviously America's war on terror was far more consequential and far worse overall. Okay, there is no reason to ever defend another country. Critical support means you can criticize them. You know what I mean? Critical support doesn't mean like unconditional support. I mean, it's the neocon pipeline. It's just very weird. Comparing it to the USA war on terror gives Americans comfort. Yeah. It's ironic because Xi Jinping famously also said, we learned it from you in dealing with the extremists in Xinjiang. The point is, when you personally point to what other countries are doing, especially China, okay, as like a far more consequential, far worse threat to the world, you're being silly, and it is being used, in my opinion, as a very cynical but very deliberate way of trying to lighten the load and saying that, like, no, we're doing it better. Here, I'll give you another example of Orientalism. They have bribery in India and Pakistan, right? Well, we do too. We have just regulated it, so it's more ethical that way. We have unlimited, unrestricted campaign donations in the form of dark money, right? Through super PACs, through lobbying. That's just bribery. It's the same shit. We've just legalized it, so it makes people think, oh, well, it's far better to do it that way. Other countries have slavery. Well, we've codified it to make it legal again in the form of the 13th Amendment, which is supposed to abolish slavery, but it hasn't really abolished it unless it is done within the confines of our criminal justice system. We just add like one extra step and like legalize it by different means, okay? And then we think that that somehow makes it better. That's why our foreign adversaries have gulags and work camps. We, on the other hand, have slave labor in our prison system, but that's something totally different. We legalize it. It's different, okay? It's pure American exceptionalism.
Damn, this guy's good.